All right. Question number 2 came from a retailer. She is a home and gift retailer. Her name is Jessica.
Okay.
And Jessica said, can you share more details on inventory planning and the Management One advantage? So here it is. I thought I was saying, hey, but here she called it the Management One advantage. So she's hearing some good things out there.
Way to go, Jessica.
Yeah, right on. And Jessica. I mean, my daughter-in-law's name is Jessica. You gotta love Jessica's. I believe so strongly in merchandise planning and the requirement to be one of the key tools in driving a retail business forward that I talk to as many people as I can about it. And, as I sort of said to Jess, she knows a little bit about it, but for those that don't, we ask ourselves, well, what do you mean when you say merchandise and retail planning? And I'd say, well, you can ask any 10 retailers that question and you'll get 10 different answers. I mean, even if you ask a retail expert, what's merchandise planning, you're going to get 10 slightly different variations. I define merchandise planning as the systematic approach to maximizing a retailer's profitability, cash flow, and return on investment through accurate sales and inventory forecasting. When we put merchandise planning into action, it increases profitability by maximizing sales potential and minimizing losses from things like stockouts and markdowns. And as I talked about, in point 2 in technology, we've got to have that. We've got to have that plan moving forward. And as I talk about in Cash is Queen, having a good plan that mitigates some risk and maximizes opportunity at a categorical level will catapult your business forward. And so that advantage, we are advocates of Management One. I am a Management One retail expert as defined by Management One, have been for a very long time. Some of my, what I would call most admired retail experts are part of that Management One family, and retailers, by the way. Some of the people that I admire most are Management One retail experts, and the knowledge and the power that they've gained in understanding how to keep retail ticking is second to none. And so, the advantage that a tool like Management One or service like Management One provides is that it becomes this objective, data-driven voice that holds me accountable to my goal. It creates great measurement. Not only does it give me this great sales forecast, an accurate sales forecast, it tells me how much stock I need to achieve that, but then it measures itself accordingly. And that plan holds me accountable as a coach to a number that allows me to hold you accountable to a goal. You got to tell me what you want, and then we're going to use this tool to get us there. And that becomes the advantage. And so why is an advantage? Why shouldn't I just use some, $30 a month app that somebody created? Well, the power of Management One is the size of the engine, right? It's looking at thousands of retail stores,
right.
Not just your store, right? The question I get asked frequently, how am I doing compared to others? How do I compare? Well, this gives us a comparative that says, here's where this category is performing across not just Dan's client base, but
everyone.
Almost, I don't want to say worldwide, but in more than 2 countries, right? Just think about us being in North America. And I know I'm going to get the pushback, well, my store in Southern Alberta isn't anything like a store in California. Bullshit. The difference is the weather. The difference is the access to inventory, maybe. But the store is the store. It's still selling a category of widgets. Whether it's tees or tops or tanks or jeans or hockey sticks or toys, it doesn't matter. We're still measuring it on that trend. And If their stock to sales ratio is a little bit different than yours, so be it. It still gives us this great data about how it should be performing. And there's nothing better than the size of that engine to be able to draw out that information. Very different than comparing yourself to just yourself.
Yeah, that's huge.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, as I sort of talked to Jess, this really is this proven process. I'm going to call it a proven process that allows us to become better merchants, not just better buyers, but better merchants. And the Management One advantage is that it's not just a technology tool. It's a technology tool that's attached to a retail expert, a certified, board and certified retail expert, not just in the Management One software, but that we are retailers at our core and have this great luxury, good fortune to work with so many other retailers that we pull the good out. We use best practice. And so leaning hard on that coach, that retail expert that brings objective guidance, data-driven, proof is in the pudding, truth only, not what I believe to be true, but what I can prove to be true with numbers, and someone that holds me accountable to achieve the goal that I want to achieve. That's the advantage. There's not another service or platform available today that has this exact same advantage. There are certainly other competitors in the inventory and merchandise intelligence space, but I'm going to say to you, there is not a collaborative environment greater than that of Management One. It lives on my Slack channel. I can communicate with retail experts across the globe. I can talk to a planner in Ireland or in Brazil if I need to about what's happening there. Or I can talk to an affiliate that's doing a ton of work in Mexico or in California or in Ontario or right here in Edmonton, Alberta. It is an advantage.
Yeah, I just zeroing in on that. It's not just about you just getting that sense of benchmarks in comparative verticals and not but just the power of that and just to guide you a little bit of hey, you really want to take a look at this. This is an opportunity.
Right. And when measured appropriately, see, this is the pushback that everybody has. So now, as Jessica did, she asked me about the cost. Instantly, her first thing was about how much does it cost?
Right.
It's the most backwards way to look at something. It's not about how much it costs. It's about what it gives me. What's my ROI? And ROI can be a quantified ROI or an unquantified return. I have a couple of really small retailers that by quantification shouldn't be on a plan. They really can't afford, the business maybe doesn't afford that for them. They're very small, but it is the accountability. It is the idea that we're going to grow. And I've shared this with you in the past. I started with a retailer that was just under $200,000 in sales. That's now $4 million. And it was not all because of the plan, but the plan led us down the path. It put the dot on the map in every category where we wanted to go. It told us where to expand and where to contract. And then we held each other accountable to those goals. And that's an advantage. So for Jess, when she asked me about price, I have this flippant, arrogant response. If you've got to ask, you can't afford it. If you've got to ask how much it is, you shouldn't be doing it. Right? And I actually said this to someone yesterday. If your only focus is how much it costs you, I'm not the best person for you to work with.
Right.
There's probably somebody else that's out there that will focus on cost. That's not what I do. The reality is, now I guess people might say, well, yeah, that's what everyone says that has an expensive product. But the reality is this costs pennies or less on an item that you bring into your store. You're bringing in a $100 dress and then moaning about paying 2 cents for inventory planning. Come on.
Yeah. Because you could quickly turn this into, we'll talk about what you'll make.
Right. Like, let's
this,
figure out what the
not
return
what it's
is.
going to cost. Yeah.
And as I talked about, a great plan mitigates risk. What I mean by mitigates risk, it stops me from overspending. It identifies where things need to change, and I don't walk into a vendor and place my same order as I did last year and add 10% to it, because I still have the shit I bought last year in my store. And had someone given me a kick in the ass and said, well, why would you buy that again? Maybe I wouldn't, right? And that's part of the symbiotic relationship that happens. There is a back and forth. And you've heard me say this, you've echoed it, art and science. We bring science, you bring art. Let's put the two together to paint a really great picture.
Mic drop. We're mic dropping on that one. Yeah. No, I love that. I was just going to bring that up again. That's let the retailer be the artist.
Right.
And this is you management one, the system come in and ground it all in the science of it all.
And it's not about restraint. It's not about constraining budget. It's not about reducing budget. It's about expanding on opportunity. Mitigate risk, maximize opportunity. I want my retailers to be chronic overbuyers, because then I want to teach them how to become better and better and better. And I'm a big believer. I said chronic overbuyer. That's maybe not exactly what I meant, but I am a big believer in buying deeper, buying thicker than what I have today. If I don't have inventory, I can't capture a sale. I can tell you 5 companies this year that have gone bankrupt because they didn't have inventory to sell, not because they didn't have money to pay their expense. They didn't have anything to generate a sale. I love working with retailers that are a little bit over positioned in everywhere. They're a little bit plump, because there's a pathway to the glory, man, to the light at the end of the tunnel. There's a pathway to profitability if you've got inventory. If you have this demonstrated reluctance to buy, you're an underbuyer, you're an underperformer. You will never reach your potential if you're not pushing yourself. And that's what this plan does. It pushes me. It plays offense.